Okay, guys and gals, about 10 seconds of the obligatory disclaimer. If you want to read the whole thing, just pause the video. Let's talk about the Getis Indicators. So this is a S&P 500 chart. We're looking at the futures here. Let's talk about the indicators that I use. I had a member ask recently, what do all the indicators mean? How do you use them? Because I send out a nightly email to my members, and some of them are new members. They don't know what the indicators mean. So let's talk about it. Now the top two indicators here, anybody can get these. This is the MACD. Okay. So you can pull that down from pretty much any charting software you have. They should have it included in their set of indicators. You can read that on your own time. MACD is very, very well known. Just some basics about that. Of course, you've got crossovers, but you want to be aware of positive momentum would be above the line. Negative momentum would be below the line, right? Positive, negative. So take the time to read about the MACD. Okay, this next one also available to just about any charting software, the SMI, otherwise known as the Stochastic Momentum Index. Now on this one I added in some logic of my own and refactored the mathematics behind it a little bit and put in some diversions. That's what these dots are. So let's talk about that before we get to these other ones. So the SMI has momentum, of course. It has crossovers. It has an upper range bound, a lower range bound. You know, when you get up into here, this would be overbought. This would be oversold. But we don't trade on that alone. We just kind of use it as a guide. Yeah. Let's go way back here to this dot right here. What's going on there? Whenever we see a dot like in a valley like this, right in the middle of the dot, right in the middle of the valley, usually, but not always, usually it means things are about to go long. That the market's bottom is going to go long. See how it bottomed here and took off? Those I call those divergence dots. Just some logic I put in this indicator on my own. Okay. Here's three dots right in the middle of this lull point. What happened? Took off. Now we got to be careful. Let me just find one that doesn't work. You see some dots right here, kind of in this little low. There's a little bit of a price increase. So we got to be careful. Don't react to every little dot that pops up on here, right? This one, since we had such a low little valley in the SMI, this dot doesn't carry a lot of weight, right? It went up a little bit. So usually when we see a dot down in a pretty decent valley in the SMI, especially if it's in the middle of it, it's pretty powerful. Let's look at this one, for example, how we don't use this one to trade long. Look where it's at. It's like right about here. If we were to trade long there, we'd be in big trouble. So we're not going to use the divergence dot. I mean, it should be obvious we're going down. The MACD has this huge gap in it going down. But not only that, you know, this dot's on the left side of this big bowl. Now, we obviously, if we're at this point right here, we don't know everything to the right of it yet, right? We wouldn't know everything over here to the right. We only know what we know up to this point. We only know what we're right here. Imagine all this over here is not available yet. So we'd have to make a decision. What's going on here? Well, you can see that the price stalled just for a little bit, right? The divergence came up and the price stalled, but it wasn't done declining. So when you're getting the nightly emails from my members, and you get this nightly email, be careful that if you see a dot that's still on the down slope, be really careful. Don't assume that means we're going to go up. You got to wait to see what does the SMI do. Does it begin to curl up and the dot's right in the middle of that valley? That's pretty strong. See how these two are right in the middle? Bam, take off. And we got the MACD helping us confirm. Nice wide gap in the MACD pointing up. A positive momentum territory, right? We're in positive above the purple line. Very nice. Lots of confirmation. Just from these two alone would help you make a trade. We're on the left side of this big old cycle. Nice. A lot of indication here that the price is going to increase. All right, so that's how you use these divergence dots to make long trades when you see them down in these bowls like this. But only if they're in the middle, like these two, and these right here in the middle, and this one. Okay. Not that one. That's way, look, here's the whole bowl. It's way over here on the left. Let's clear the screen. We don't want to trade this one long. MACD's got a big old gap going down. Now I know, like I said before, we wouldn't know all this area over here yet if we're looking at this day right here approximately. But you got to let it play out a little bit. If this is still going down, which looks like it's going to be with the MACD going down, then we're going to be patient. If we had another dot like right over here, let's say one showed up over here and it started to curl up, oh yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be powerful confirmation. But it never happened. It didn't happen until we got way over here. Then it happened. So that's how you can use these dots in the middle of these valleys on the SMI along with the MACD to help if you just had these two indicators in the nightly emails that I send. They'll help you make long side trades. Let's talk about the dots that are up here in this area that are like at the peak. That usually would mean there's going to be a pullback. Now, when you get to divergence that are at peaks, if you see it happening over on the Big Daddy together at the same time, which these are not. These are not at the same time. These are happening at the same time. So what's going on there? Yeah, pretty good stuff. Bam. Well, this is my own indicator I created called the Big Daddy Forecast. This forecasts the market, just like it says in its name. It's predicting what the market's going to do before it happens. Okay. So if we look at over here, we start seeing some divergence dots pop up as this Big Daddy's near its top line right here. We also have some divergence dots going on there, and the SMI at the top kind of came up. We see the MACD still going up. This is where I'm starting to take notice the market might pull back. Sure enough, it consolidates for a while and pulls back. Okay, so that's how you read both the SMI and the Big Daddy together. Again, in the nightly emails, you'll see this on the chart, because I always send a chart with the nightly email. Okay, if you see these dots at the top on both the stochastic momentum index, this indicator and this indicator together, then pay attention. The market might be getting ready to pull back. Okay, so here we got a dot near the top, but we don't have one here, and the MACD is still pointing up, so I'd be really careful. I wouldn't trade short side just yet. Just like we wouldn't take this dot by itself and start trading short, even though this is near kind of a peak, no more than we would take a trade right here long, because this is still going down. See? So there's a divergence going on, but not enough for us to be confident about making a short side trade, because we want to see a dot on here. We'd want to see the MACD starting to peter out, maybe roll over, whatever. You follow me? But we can take notice of it and just kind of keep an eye on it, because there's a divergence dot happening here at the same time. Right? I'm sorry, there wasn't one. That's my duh. That was me putting a dot there myself. But if there was a dot sitting there, usually it'd be up when it's elevated like that. But here's one that's not elevated. Yeah. Along with some yellow and red. Sure enough. A few days later, boom. This would be a lot of swing trade, this kind of swing trade stuff, not intraday stuff. You'd be looking at this for swing trades on a daily chart, not intraday. Okay, so that takes care of looking at these two indicators, which, like I said, you can get these on. You don't even need a nightly email for that. For the divergence dots, obviously you would, but just check your nightly emails for the chart. Okay, I already talked about the Big Daddy, the importance of the divergence dots to happen at the top. Okay, now we're going to get into the serious indicators, the certainty rate here, and then I'll talk about the Getis indicator. I think I'll talk about the Getis indicator first, because it's a little bit simpler and it's going to be a little bit quicker. Then I'll get into the certainty rate, which is highly complex. The best way to look at this indicator is whenever we see a spike like that, we should pay attention. Let's just take it, for example, way back over here. We see a spike like this in the Getis indicator. We should pay attention. The market's probably going to make a big move. So if I were to follow this all the way up here, sure enough, the market made a big move, right? exactly what day this came in. Let's check. Came in right there on that green candlestick. Way over here on the left. So this one. A couple days later, bombs away. So remember, this is almost all the way that I use all these indicators is to forecast what's to come, which doesn't necessarily mean the very next day. So you got to do your due diligence as a trader / investor, okay, to be looking for the market to react to what's being forecasted, right? So this forecasted the market was going to make a big move, and it did. It happened about 2 or 3 days later. It began to make a big move. So don't get caught up in the very next morning, get ready to make a trade. That may be true sometimes, but not always. Okay, so you can see that made a huge move in the market. Now, it was months later. It happened again here in November. Okay, where exactly did it happen? It happened right there on that big red candlestick. Dun, dun. Right there on this big red candlestick. What happened? Oh my gosh, in this case it was the very next day, one of the biggest candlesticks we've had in a long time, 222 range. Ooh, looking at this number right there. Look at that, 222. Now I ask you, did the Getis indicator forecast the market was going to move big? It sure the heck did, and it continued to move big. It chucked sideways, went up some more, a little down. It was all said and done and made this huge move up. Okay, what about this one over here? Should be obvious. I don't even need to draw a line. Look, it just consolidated and boom. This would be a perfect example how we would look at the MACD, the SMI. We would be patient here, wait for them to bottom out. The SMI is already forecasting things are going to go up, but you can tell here this big consolidation area for like 2 weeks. That's why you don't just use one indicator. If you traded on the SMI only, you'd make a big mistake and make a long side trade here and be freaking out when it hit a big red day, like that one. So the Getis indicator was telling us, get ready, the market's going to make a big move. It took about a week for that to play out, and then the market just took off. So you got to be patient. When you see these indicators like this, especially the Getis indicator popping up like that, it doesn't happen very often. Get ready for a big move in the market. Okay, what happened right here? Let's take a look at this one. Oops, hit the microphone. What happened here? It happened right there. Perfect timing. Oh my gosh, such a great timing. Right at the bottom. Right there, literally at the bottom. Next day, big green candlestick. I'm looking at the MACD. This one's a lot easier. This happens a lot, by the way. The MACD comes up, crosses over the momentum crosses over the zero line, has a little pullback right there, and then just takes off. Very common. Look, it happened right here on the way down. Crossed over, came back up, and then down some more. Anytime you see the MACD crossing over the momentum line, look at this. Happens here, came up, crossed over, came back down, touch, took off. Happens a lot. So this one, was it on? Bet your bottom dollar it was. George. Okay, let's go to this next one. What's going on here? Jeez. Absolutely nailed it, guys. Right there on that evening star. My goodness. So you got even candlestick confirmation. Look at this evening star. Bam. 3 or 4 days of massive down. Okay, so I can honestly say out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times we had the Getis indicator pop up in the last, 8, 9 months here, whatever it's been, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, every single time the market moved huge. Every time. That would be swing trader stuff. Okay, if you're a patient trader, you can make huge money. Huge money. A lot of my members get caught up in intraday stuff. I'm not saying stop intraday trading. I get it. You want to be active. But there's an old saying. This came from Denzel Washington, believe it or not. He was doing a speech at Liberty College for the graduates quite a few years back. For those who don't know, Denzel Washington does believe in God. And he's probably a Christian. He was giving a speech to Liberty College graduates. And one of the things he said in that speech was talking about God and being blessed and a lot of different things. But one of the things he said was, don't mistake a lot of activity for being productive. And I'm not criticizing day traders. Do your thing, okay? I'm not saying stop being day trading. If you're good at it, go for it. But don't mistake a lot of activity for being accurately productive. You could be very busy and have a lot of activity, but you're just treading water. You're going nowhere. And I feel like a lot of day traders are like that. And why do I say that? Because just imagine if you traded more like a swing trader here, or even an investor, and you just heeded the indication here, and just patiently waited out. And when the MACD began to cross over and you began to get some confirmation, you placed alongside trade all the way to this expiration. Oh my gosh! I mean, if you just took a small position even, so your account's not in jeopardy, and you weren't so panicky, day trading like fanatic, like you're on caffeine high, you know. How much money you would have made over this time? It's just huge, from like low 3,800s all the way up to 4,000. Even on a one or two little micro contracts, this would have been thousands of dollars. If you traded just one E-mini contract, it would have been tens of thousands. All right, I think you get my point. All right, that's it for the Getis indicator. That's how I use it. I do a lot of swing trading, okay? Now let's talk about the most complicated indicator that I have, the certainty rate. We're about to delve into a subject matter that's way outside the realm of just trading. Okay, but I do use this indicator to help guide my nightly emails, even my own trading, and helped just give my opinion in my emails, because I don't give financial advice, by the way. I only give my opinion. I give my opinion about what I think the marketplace is going to do. Now, I don't talk too much in videos, and certainly not in nightly emails, about things outside of the market, because obviously this membership has to do with trading and investing, right? But the truth is, when I think about this certainty rate, and even though I don't discuss it that very often, I think about it in a much larger perspective, a very encompassing perspective. It affects the entire world. It affects way more than just trading. All right, so I'm gonna first talk about how would we use this. I'm gonna make it really super basic, dumb it down, and then we're gonna talk about some of the details surrounding this indicator, so you can get a better understanding of what's really going on. So let's just talk about how would I use it first. You can tell that it's got some spikes in here once in a while, right? Let's crunch this all up, going way back. You can see back here at the beginning of 2022, about late January, we had this spike 44. Okay, right there. And it looks like it was right about April, somewhere at the beginning of April, we had a spike here. This guy, it had an associated number of 92. Okay, which, by the way, was right near a Getis indicator, but we won't dive into that. Back here in late August, early September, we had a huge spike on this certainty rate, 223, the biggest one to date since I created this indicator. And then over here recently, we had one 179, another massive one. Looks like it was late February. Now, it doesn't take a genius to look at this certainty rate spikes that we get every once in a while. It don't happen very often, right? In the last, let's see, year, in about 3 months, maybe 2 months, 14 months, somewhere around there, you only see really 4 spikes on here. We'll talk about the little low noise that's going on in between all this. We'll talk about that too, okay? But let's first deal with the big spikes. How do I use that? It should be pretty obvious, right? You don't need to be a genius to figure this part out. Let's look at this right here. What happened? What happened here? Well, bombs away. Can I tell you? Happened right up in here. Certainty rate's telling us something's going to happen. And sure enough, it happened. What happened right here? Right here, guys. I can even see the dotted line. It happened right on the dotted line. What happened? Well, and not by chance. I haven't looked at this correlation yet, but there's sometimes a correlation between the Getis indicator and the certainty rate. Okay, I'm a busy guy. I don't have time to always check all these things out, but there's definitely a correlation going on sometimes between these two. which to me is just confirmation. But they're not related anyway, data-wise. Okay, so you can see that just absolutely bombs away, right? Let's look at this one. What happened here? Biggest one. Where did it happen? Happened right there, over a 2-day period. Right in there. This little candlestick right here. Okay. Now, this is very interesting, because I really believe that this big spike was really forecasting this whole thing right here, not this little uptick. And we had the distinct advantage of knowing that we were coming into a cycle low right here. So when this certainty rate popped like that, so close to the cycle low, I remember this. I'm thinking to myself, this ain't it. This little move from here to here. Let's just erase everything. Let's get the screen clear. We're talking about this one right here. I'm looking at this little cycle back here. Now, back then, the cycles might have been a little different, but I'm pretty sure there was a cycle right here. When I saw that happen and it bottomed right here, I was like, no. That big old certainty rate spike is not just this little time. It's this boom. So in other words, it was more this huge cycle coming into play. That's what this certainty rate was telling us. Get ready for a big, massive change. Okay. And by the way, this cycle, I'm not going to say it failed, but it certainly came down right smack dab in the middle of this big purple cycle, which is also very common. All right, let's look at this last big one here. What happened here? Happened right there, just before this big candlestick. Let me get my little. Happened right there. And overall, just look at that. From about 40.79 to 38.60, let's call it. Okay, almost 200 points. Again, huge. And how will we know to trade? Well, look at the MACD. It's up here in Blistersville. This one we can tell is on the way down. So we know it's going to go. The chances are going to go down even more. And we've got cycles to help us out. This one's like, look at this cycle. It's almost perfect. Straight up in the middle. You could build a little teepee, a little house, a little triangle. Boop, boop. A little umbrella. Call it what you want. A cocktail umbrella. Not that I drink. I'm not a drinker. It doesn't matter. What do you do with this one? Well, my goodness, the MACD's telling you what to do with it. We're up there in the bleachers, nosebleed section. What about this one? Same thing. It's on its way down. We know where we're going. Okay? So let me just, as I go back just for a moment on the SMI here and the Big Daddy, this is really more helpful for like short-term swing traders, maybe even intraday, but short-term swing traders are going to use these. Long-term swing traders are going to be looking at, and maybe even investors are going to look at certainty rating and the Getis indicator. When these happen, take notice. When you see these kind of spikes on the certainty rate or the Getis indicator and the nightly emails, take notice. Something big's going to happen. Be patient. You can make a lot of money. You just got to get your direction right and be patient. All right. So that's how I use the certainty rate when I see big spikes. Okay. Let's talk about. We're going to zero in on just this little area right here, and so I can get this. Because of this big spikes, the scale for this area here looks really small, but I'm going to zoom in on that, and you'll see how the scale comes into focus better, right? So let's get this if we can. I'll have to use auto zoom here. Give me a second. Okay, auto zoomy. Zoomy. Let me see if I can get this to play nice. Sometimes the charts don't always want to play nice. Charts can be such a pain in the butt sometimes. Still trying to get this to work right. Let's see if I get this over to 1 day, 1 year, 1 day, and then this still doesn't want to do it. Okay, there we go. All right, it's going to be hard because things I don't want to scale back. But let's see. I'm going to try to figure this out here. Let's get that off the screen. Okay, that's going to have to do for now. All right. Looking at the certainty rate here on this day was 39.2. All right. Looking at that number right there. this event right here was 39.2. I remember when this came in just like a few weeks back. Okay, it pretty much was predicting this big drop down into this quarterly expiration, options expiration. Look at that massive decline. So on nightly emails, how do I use this for nightly emails? How do I talk to my members through the nightly emails and even in videos? Usually I do this in nightly emails, right? See how it's just like a flat area 0? So I know the market's not going to do much. What do I mean by that? The market's going to continue probably in the direction it's going in this case up. When I see a spike like this at 39, which is a pretty significant number, I know there might be an interruption in the market. And there was. It kind of stalled here and went down. And we would use the other indicators like the MACD and the SMI to get a sense for, okay, what does this mean? What's going to happen? We're going to be patient, let it play out a little bit, let the MACD run its course, or, in this case, we can see there was a spike here. You might want to play that short side down into the cycle low, like I said. But we know something significant is going to happen. When we get these smaller days with smaller numbers, I know the market's probably not going to make really big moves, right? The market's going to continue in the direction it's going in. Generally, what that means when you see a lot of zeros, like right in this area, you just see it flatlining. What was this number over here? It was 16.4. I talked about this in an email the other day. I said, hey, 16.4. So I think the market's going to have a little bump. We're probably going to go up. And it did on the average. Look, it's just kind of barely going up, but it's going up, right? It's coming out of the low, making its way up. So it isn't just about a one-day thing, right? I'm looking at rates over a period of time. It's helping me get a sense of the market. So it isn't just, hey, one day means up or down. That's not what that means. And in a minute, I'm about to switch and talk about the complexity behind this certainty rate, and I think it'll help understand why it isn't just one day spike means do this, trade short, trade long. No, we don't do that. This helps us guide an overall direction. Okay. All right, I'm going to finish up the video, and we're going to talk about the complexities behind this certainty rate, which I think is really going to help you get an understanding of what's going on here, okay? All right, in front of us we have a picture of NASA tracking the magnetic field. This is the magnetic fields of the Earth. This little spot in the middle is the Earth, and all these big, huge lines coming out of it are the magnetic fields of the Earth, okay? Now, what's interesting about the Earth is it's very symmetrical, right? It's very symmetrical. We have the magnetic fields go up and they go around and they come back down. What do you know? They go through the middle again and they go up and they go around. And this one does the same thing. It comes up, it goes around, goes back down. There's some that do the same thing more closer to the Earth. Some that go way out there. And come back in. Some might fragment out there and kind of just, don't quite come back. All right? All right, so just bear with me. Just stay with me on this. I'll switch over to another picture. This is a magnetic picture of the sun. Yeah, I know it looks crazy, right? But this is the magnetic fields of the sun. Look familiar? Now, some of you may be saying, well, it doesn't look exactly like the Earth. That's correct. It doesn't look like the Earth because there's a difference in the internal mechanism that drives the sun. Here, the sun's showing a multitude of magnetism. It's not just simple north-south like the Earth. But the premise is the same, right? It goes up, it goes around, it comes back down. Several places it's doing that. All right? Very similar. drives through the middle, comes up and goes around, drives through the middle, comes up, goes around, drives through the middle, comes up, goes around, goes around. If you look at this sun here, in this picture it's kind of in quadrants, but it's even, here's some others, comes up, goes around, comes down, comes up, comes around. It isn't just symmetrical. Okay, it is symmetrical, but not as simplistic as the Earth's magnetic field. Okay, so that's the Earth and the Sun have similarity, right? You can see the electromagnetic fields in both. Okay, hold on. We're going to move on to another picture. This is a picture of the Milky Way galaxy from a magnetic field perspective. And I think back in 2013 and then again in 2020 they discussed that they're now beginning to discern that there's an electromagnetic field at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Oh my gosh, you mean it's not just a black hole anymore? Yeah, these people are real boneheads, Black hole? Huh? Scratch that off the list. Boneheads. Comes up, goes around. Comes up, goes around. Right? Now I'm oversimplifying this. Okay. Boy, that looks awful familiar. We've got this angle here. What the heck's going on there? Okay. So we looked at the Earth electromagnetic field. We looked at the sun in our solar system's electromagnetic field. And now, recently, they're having to admit, oh my gosh, the Milky Way galaxy has electromagnetic field, and it's a lot stronger and more persuasive than we thought it was. And it's bringing into question all this black hole nonsense and dark matter. Oh, I'm sorry, something happened there. Dark matter. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, so what are we looking at here? This is what's called a toroid. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. The electromagnetic field or electromagnetic toroidal electromagnetism. Think of it that way. Okay, you can take a picture of that. You can see the URL up there if you want to study toroids. Don't study solenoids. We're talking about toroids. Okay, hold on. This is a website I've known about for many, many years called Hyperphysics. Old site, been around a long time. The magnetic field of a toroid. Yeah, folks. You want to know what gravity is? You're looking at it. It isn't some mysterious, unknown whatever. Electromagnetism, that is gravity. So there's the magnetic field of a toroid. That's what pretty much what this is oversimplified because this is a man-made version, but the Earth and the Sun are not made by man, are they? So not so simplistic, but this should give you the idea of what's going on. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, you may not be able to read it here, but I'm gonna read the bottom part right down here. A toroid is a coil wound in a donut-shaped object. Okay, so for this one right here for a moment, is a loosely wound toroid, does not have a cylindrical symmetry. Loosely wound. That's that one. And what they're talking about here is how many times these little blue dots show up. They're just every so often. Let's go on to this one right here, C. A tightly wound toroid, cylindrical symmetry is very good approximation. Aha. The Earth is like this. It's more like that. It's more tightly wound. But the Sun has the Sun isn't a singular toroid. It's possible it's multi. It's also possible it's loosely wound. So it's more like this one. And that's why the sun has a multitude of electromagnetic fields that come up and go down, and they're not just like north, south, and symmetrical like the Earth. But it doesn't really matter. The discussion regarding the certainty rate is not whether you dive into the bowels of, loosely wound and tightly wound toroidal magnetism. I'm just giving you what's being measured. The certainty rate is measuring electromagnetism. That's what's happening. It's measuring on the Earth. And the electromagnetism is a combination of the influence from the sun, the sun's influence from the rest other stars and the Milky Way galaxy, and on and on and on. So it's a very complex subject matter. And we're able to read the electromagnetic flux, if you will, that comes into the Earth. And why is that a big deal? Because it impacts the entire Earth's behavior. Think of it that way. Not just human behavior. The certainty rate's not just about how it impacts individuals, retail traders trading, speculative trading, which is usually what retail traders do. It's not just talking about what big funds do in the marketplace. It's about everything on the Earth. Rain, drought, crops, animal behavior, ice packs freezing or melting. Okay, follow me? Weather patterns. You got billionaires that are trying to control all of the resources across the face of the Earth, because this is what people who are evil do. Bill Gates trying to buy up all the cropland in America. These people just filled with the spirit of Antichrist, if you want to know the real truth. You want to know what's going on in the world, guys and gals, and why it's all so corrupt and going hell in a handbasket, as they say? Because these people, they get the spirit of Antichrist. You think they give God credit for anything? Did they make the sun? No. Did they make the Earth? No. Can they control the electromagnetic fields of either one? No, because they don't understand. They're just as human as the rest of us. Their behavior is changed and influenced the same as all of us. Look at George Soros, the way he uses his billions and all the nasty corruption this guy gets himself into. Nasty. Evil. But regardless of what these billionaires do and how they try to manipulate all the resources around the world, you gotta understand, the Earth and humans on the Earth behavior, a lot of it is driven by the electromagnetic field. If you don't believe me, then why did the certainty rate predict the market was going to have big moves? That certainty rate is measuring what you're looking at in front of you. Toroidal electromagnetism. We are able to read it. It hits the Earth. The sun, you know why the sun has cycles every 11 to 12 or 13 years? Because it's part of an electrical circuit. It's no different in America. We have what's called about 120 volt outlets is common here. Europe is usually like 220 to 240. Okay, but here in America we have a lot of 120, and we use 60 hertz. That's the phase that flips back and forth of alternating current. Hertz is just a unit of measure of something that's happening. When you talk about 11-year cycle, that's the sun's cycle. It's part of an electrical circuit. The sun is a complex version of what you're looking at in front of you here on the screen. It's a complex toroidal magnet, electromagnet. It's not simple and singular, it's complex. But the concept is in front of you here. Just think about the Earth's toroidal magnetic field, that picture we looked at. I'll go back to it here. Okay, so here's the picture of the Earth. We talked about how symmetrical this is. Yeah, look how symmetrical it is. The sun is the same as this, but just think of multiple toroidal electromagnetic engines. This is an engine, electromagnetic engine. That's what's really going on here. Or to be more specific, engines are combustible combustion. This is a motor, electrical. It's a electromagnetic motor. That's what we're looking at here. The sun, though, is complex. There's more than one motor, if you will, constantly moving and changing shapes. And the galaxy is more or less doing the same thing. So if you just can wrap your mind around all this for a second, that all the celestial heavenly bodies are approximately doing something similar to this. They're not all identical, but they have a lot of similarity, right? They all have electromagnetic motor or motors. And they create space. This creates space. These electromagnetic fields are creating space around this object. So just so you understand, certain rates measuring electromagnetic flux that comes into the Earth, and it affects the entire Earth, everything on the Earth, and trading is just one small, tiny little part that it has an impact on the markets. Okay. I'll just finish off this video by saying gravity is electromagnetism. That's what it is. If you want to know what the source of gravity is electromagnetism. It isn't some mysterious force that we don't know what it is. Okay. All right. That's all I got to say for now. Maybe we'll do a video in the future when we can dive into this much deeper. So now I hope you have a better understanding of what all of the indicators I use and I put out every night in an email to the members. If you want to join as a member, $7.99. I'll put a link in the comment section. It'll be the first comment in this video. Just click on the Discord link, come over to the server, and join. Okay, you just in the upper left-hand corner you'll see it says server subscriptions. Maybe I'll put a little screenshot of that here at the end of this video, and you can just join for $7.99. You get a nightly email every night. Of course, you get the screenshot of what I just showed of the charts with my indicators on it. I give my opinion on the S&P 500 every night. Okay, I'm on the Discord server most days. All right, and if I take trades, sometimes I share what my trades are. And you get a list of symbols. I put out symbols every night for the members on the Discord server. There's a channel there called Premium Symbols. I put out symbols that my Getis indicator. I use the same Getis indicator to pick thousands out of thousands of symbols. Which ones are most likely to make a big move? Okay, so that's stocks are on that list, futures are on there, and industries are on there. Okay, all right, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Talk to you all real soon again next time.